All right, so this is a conversation I had recently with Ryan Bigfoot 1019. So today we're going to talk about what is Bigfoot. It's not what you think. What does the symbolism mean? We're going to talk about bioengineering and what's really going on in this realm. You know, we see, what do we observe though? We see Taylor Swift's Adam's apple. We see the androgyny symbolism with the one shoulder uncovered, and we see it all throughout. The Freemason himself just explained it, what it meant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't even a theory, really. He's telling us what it means. Oh, and also remember the Super Bowl, Janet Jackson. That's where I think you first talked about this topic.
Yeah,
That was a very important
I did like a
video.
side by side,
Yeah, that was like, wow, that
and
was mind blowing because oh, that's what that was.
most people don't
Yeah.
even care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't care. They don't want to know. They want to remain deceived in the matrix because they want to worship Taylor Swift because that's the only God they have. Everyone needs to worship
crazy.
something, yeah, I guess. Everyone needs to find hope and meaning in their life somehow, and Taylor Swift fills that need. Okay, so we kind of get this. And by the way, Venus, is often associated with Lucifer. In fact, that's what it means. The word Lucifer is Latin, and it actually means Venus. It doesn't really mean Satan.
So
So
that's not the biblical Satan.
no, because the word is Lucifer, which is a translation of the Hebrew in that passage. I believe it's in Isaiah. It says Hallel in Hebrew. Hallel, and Hallel means Venus, or like the shining star, but it's talking about Venus. And so the Latin translation is Lucifer. That's a Latin word in the
So what is
500
Venus to
AD.
you in your understanding? What is
Goddess.
Venus?
Well, Venus is a star. Okay, we can see it. We can see Venus with our own eyes at night, which is a star, that one of the brightest, possibly the brightest star in the sky. All the planets are actually stars that shine their own light, which we can observe. So Venus is a star, and so, but Venus is also, a goddess in Greek and Roman
So
religion.
when you use that term goddess, are you saying that it's a real female, or are you saying
No,
that it's
it's a spiritual entity. Are stars actually intelligent beings? Possibly,
so
probably
why are
even.
they all imitating Venus?
I think Venus is just I think of it as a mother goddess figure that goes by many names, like Mary. Catholicism is just, Roman paganism with the names changed a bit
So
because
so
that's what
who's the
people want.
real Venus? Who's the real Venus? Why are they all imitating Venus? Is there
Yeah.
like one character, one entity that's Venus,
Well,
and
the
they're
Venus
all
is just
just
one of the
imitating?
names because the ancient names were like Ashtoreth, Astarte, Inanna, Isis, right? There's always a mother goddess who's like Mother
It's
Nature,
just
Gaia. That's what I
it's
think the G in Freemasonry is Gaia, which is the mother goddess, which they consider to be androgynous, who's a self-generating. And all this comes from their own literature, self-generating androgynous God. Now, in Gnosticism, they believe the evil God of the Bible, Yahweh. They believe Yahweh is the evil God who trapped us in these bodies, and so our bodies are a prison. And you see that as well, like in the song lyrics and this kind of stuff. So that's why I think they can transform and mutilate their own bodies because they don't really respect the body itself. They're more concerned with their androgynous spirit. That's why they've come out and like Miley Cyrus comes out and says he's non-binary, or all the celebrities these days come out and say they're non-binary, bisexual, whatever. It means that they're not part of this material world, if that makes any sense. That's what I see based on
it
my.
does, but I think they're all delusional. Like I think they're all getting lost in their own literature and their
Yeah,
own works.
yeah. I mean, well, they may be demonically possessed, so that's why the demon inside of them may actually be non-binary because they don't come from this
Do you think
realm.
do you think it's the same demon that's sort of they're all channeling, or do you think there's
I think they're
like a
different
race of
ones.
them,
Yeah,
or
there's a race of them. Yeah, yeah. They may be able to kind of talk to each other,
so where is that
somehow.
race at? Where does that race exist at?
Well, they probably come from the abyss. We see that like in Revelation 9.
Is the abyss synonymous with the pit, with
Yeah,
hell, and
no,
with
it's
the
different than
cube?
hell. Now, hell.
It's different than hell.
Yeah, hell is a future place of destruction. Nobody survives hell or can get out of hell, and nobody's really in hell right now. people go into hell after the judgment, the final judgment, but it's prepared in advance for that.
So the abyss is sort of just like a holding cell.
The abyss is in verse 2 of Genesis 1. Genesis 1 verse 2 talks about the abyss. So the abyss was here before the creation of this world, the deep. There's earth, the dry land, there's the sea, there's Hades, which is where dead people go, and then there's the abyss, which
Is
is
that
where
where
demons come from.
is that where these dead people go?
If they have a human soul, they would go to Hades.
See, I think their
Non-Christians
human
go to Hades.
soul, I think they've been altered so that
Yeah.
it's sort of like infected even their soul.
Yeah, yeah, they called it in that movie, in the TV show The Exorcist, they called it integration. You ever see that one? That's a pretty good one to watch. It's a
The
TV
first one?
series. No, it's a TV series they did just like a couple of years ago with that one from Thelma and Louise. I think it's one of those androgynes.
I just started thinking about, isn't there one about Emily Rose?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Emily Rose.
Emily. I just did a video over Emily Male, and then it
So
rose.
wait, you got to break that down for people. What does the name Emily mean?
Oh, I just said just sound it out. Lee, and then Lee, L-E, male. Emily.
Male.
Yeah. Male.
Male. Okay. Like Emily Stone.
Yeah.
Emma
That's what I did the
Stone.
video over.
I
Yeah,
know,
it wants to be called Emily now. I got a lot of comments on that one. Well,
yeah. So you're able to
one,
you're
but
able
more
to
people.
see these things. So you can see things most people cannot see. Now, should we talk about the Bigfoot stuff?
So what is Bigfoot?
And here's the thing: is people think they know what Bigfoot means, but it means something different. But the symbols are everywhere. I see it all the time. That's one of the most common symbols and references I see.
It's almost like the source. I think the Bigfoot is what helped to create these things. The Bigfoot is actually, it represents a like sort of like a discovery, a scientific discovery in bacteria, and it was in the form of a print. So what is the Bigfoot? How about you explain the Bigfoot?
You mean
You
according
watched
to what you've shown us? Or
what you've seen, how
well,
you've
okay, so yes, based on what you started out saying, now of course most people think of the Sasquatch walking around in Washington State or
yeah.
something, but you see this ape symbol in a lot of movies, King Kong, for example, and there's a King Kong and Godzilla franchise going on. And then you see the footprint symbol a lot. And then it's combined in the same movie will be combined with a story about DNA somehow, genetically altering things. You'll see those three things in the same movie all the time, and a reference to fecal matter. Fourth thing,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, Rampage, all these movies about apes or something like that. You don't always have the ape, but sometimes you do. I saw it in the Flash TV series, episode 1. Very well made episode, and they had randomly a reference to fecal matter in a tire print, and then a guy in a wheelchair who represents the demonic realm. This a non-human entity, a disembodied spirit. The X-Men, the guy in the wheelchair, the handicapped man, is always representing some kind of non-human entity, because the Master Blaster in the Mad Max movies, in the diic, right? So the spiritual entity is attached to the physical entity to live on Earth. The diic is another thing, but there's some kind of genetic print, a genetic code or something that they've discovered based on what you've talked about. An
CRISPR.
ancient Nephilim DNA. They discovered Nephilim DNA, and now they're applying it again today. They're creating hybrids using
So
the
I watched
bacteria found in
this.
shit.
Yeah, I watched this documentary over CRISPR, and CRISPR is what they discovered in bacteria, in E. coli bacteria, and basically the bacteria has this is how they explain it. Bacteria has an immune system, and when bacteria is attacked by a virus, that bacteria will save bits and pieces of that viral DNA within its own DNA. So then it will, if it's ever attacked again, it can recognize that virus because it has bits and pieces of that virus's DNA in its own DNA. And it sort of has its own like immune system. So they sort of hijack the immune system of bacteria and they use that now to alter DNA. They use this, I'll use this sort of analogy of bacteria being attacked by a virus is sort of synonymous with someone being demonically possessed, where that bacteria will get bits and pieces of that viral DNA incorporated within it. Someone who was demonically possessed would get bits and pieces of that entity within it. It's still difficult to explain, man. It's like,
Well, that's a pretty deep dive into exactly what's happening at like a
let me
scientific
try it.
level.
Let me try it again with Taylor Swift. Okay, so
Oh yeah.
you think Taylor Swift was born you think Taylor Swift is just a boy straight up and it's just been feminized?
Well, that's that we can observe that based
All
on the
right.
bone structure, right? Born a male, raised as a female.
So XX is female, but they discovered the gene that actually triggers male development on the Y, XY is male. They discovered a gene on the Y chromosome, which is solely responsible for developing the male anatomy. So, what they've done using that CRISPR technology is they've taken that gene and they've somehow attached it to this thing's chromosome. So now you can have it, it's a XX, it's a female, like it would be female, it's got a female mind, but yet it'll develop the body of a male. So that's that's sort of how what I think this thing is. I think it would have developed as a female. Like it has the I guess maybe the consciousness of the mind of a woman, but it developed the body of a male. And I
Okay.
think they suppress that body of the male and they sort of encourage this female to sort of be dominant. They suppress the maleness of it. Well, they try to anyway.
Well, they
That's
do
sort of
that.
what I
Well,
think
they did
is.
that with Blair. Let's say Blair White is a normal transgender.
I think,
What they
yeah,
call,
I don't think this one's been altered. I think this one's just a boy.
but then
That's
they
just,
inject estrogen and stuff.
yeah. So
Okay.
this one took the hormone route.
They feminize it with
Yeah,
pharmakia.
yeah.
And
That's what.
I think the same thing happened. My own opinion would be the same thing happened with Taylor Swift. But can you
So
put those X's up there again? The X and the. So what you're saying is a normal
because
a
that's
normal
what they did
man. But what about
in
the
the CRISPR doc.
FTM? Maybe they're doing that with FTMs as well, like
Yeah.
Joe Rogan. Maybe this applies to Joe Rogan more.
Well, I'm just saying that because I watched this CRISPR documentary, and
Yeah.
the whole purpose of that documentary was them creating a bull that would have basically androgynous offspring. It would have XX female cows, but because they had that gene that encouraged male development, it would have a cow, but that cow would develop as a male, and it would also be sterile. And I think that's what's going on. I also think that's what the whole thing was with the coronavirus. I think they were altering altering the germline, so people are going to actually be giving birth to XX. Well, they got like a 1 in 4 chance of giving birth to an XX female, but it'll develop as male. That's
Okay.
what I
So,
think is going
so,
on.
so they're going to give birth to a race of androgynes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
agree with this. Yeah. Yeah. So whether Taylor Swift is one of them or not is debatable, but I agree with that their goal is to create a race of androgynes and do it through bioengineering. And it makes a lot of sense, I think, that like what you said, and we do see this talked about a lot, like in the movies and stuff, right? Where the offspring are the ones who will be altered. They'll inject the parents with something but then the offspring, they'll give birth to a, and I even saw some scientists talking about this recently. I may have sent it to you, where the offspring of the injected generation these days now are going to be different. They're going to be altered. And it makes sense that they would be androgynous. It'd be one of the things they're trying to do, at least, maybe the main thing.
And I think they've already been doing this on a
Okay,
small
with the
scale.
select
It's
group,
just
with the celebrities.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, and maybe even with
maybe.
some shots in the past that they sort of feared people into taking as sort of like trial groups. But I think the whole coronavirus thing was like worldwide. Let's start this thing like on a worldwide scale.
Ah,
It just
yeah, 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 yeah. That's their religion, is that they believe that's salvation. They're going to save the planet, quote unquote,
because
by
it's
doing
also
this.
gonna yeah, it's also gonna stop the population
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah. And
getting
and they believe
growing.
human beings originally were androgynous and originally were more like gods. They believe we're all gods trapped in a human body. That's Gnosticism and pantheism and all this stuff, Masonry, all this stuff. If in the Genesis 3, the serpent basically said, "Hey, if you listen to me, you'll become a god," right? So that's what everyone wants to hear. Half the
Yeah.
churches in the
So
world are saying that now too, you know.
I don't know if I believe that. I think that's just all like stuff that they sort of indoctrinate these people with. Like they force all those
Yeah,
types of beliefs on these people. But I don't even know if they really believe it. I think these people are just making a race of
yeah.
these things
They're just going along with it, and they're getting all
for
the
their own
fame and
perverted,
fortune.
yeah, for
Yeah.
their own profit, for their own perverted
Yeah. So Taylor Swift
interests.
cannot break out of this. Like Taylor Swift has to make a choice between going and being world famous and being worshipped by the masses, or telling the truth and getting killed or something, right? If they know the whole thing's a scam, then they could speak out
So
against it, be like a whistleblower. But you don't see any whistleblowers maybe once in a while. Now it's possible Britney Spears was trying, and then replace. You do see them kind of getting replaced now and then, I think.
you think Britney Spears was replaced?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, I do. And also, who's that black comedian who used to be funny and is now not funny?
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, totally replaced. Totally different
Yeah.
person. Totally
The
different
the very
person.
first the very first image that they showed of that person, it was in like one of those when it came back, supposedly. It
Yeah,
was in like a gray tank top, but the tank top was so long it
yeah.
looked like a dress.
Exactly. That's another symbol they do. The long t-shirt is a dress
Yeah.
t-shirt, and they all got to
Yeah.
wear the dress. And remember, he went on Oprah and said they wanted him to wear women's clothing and he wouldn't do it. And that's why he left Hollywood. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
remember that.
and now he comes back and he's wearing a dress. Come on.
Yeah. And looks like all bulked up.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Unnaturally bulked up. That's not normal, natural bulking up. It's just not.
No.
That's testosterone injection kind of stuff, or steroids, and then you got to wonder if he's also FTM inverted. Now, I don't. A lot of people would say, "Oh, they have clones and stuff." I don't think necessarily, because they don't look exactly the same. They have some kind of look-alike. Because a clone would have
Yeah.
had to been born at the same time. You know what I mean? And raised somewhere else. It's a little more complex. I prefer like a simple explanation. That's Occam's razor. They're putting androgynous people in the mass media to maybe condition us for the androgynous revolution. And then the propaganda
Yeah.
has just been off the charts since then. I discovered this like in 2015, and just in terms of the androgynous agenda, but I encountered it even before that, like 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. I encountered it being close to celebrities in real life who I noticed were inverted. It was obvious. And I didn't know what to make of it. And that happened a few times before I realized they were all over the mass media. And then I thought, like, why? Why are they doing this? And then you discovered the bacteria in the fecal matter in the bioengineering aspect of it, right? With the Bigfoot,
Yeah.
what you call the Bigfoot. And that's the discovery of there's some kind of biological, you could call it a bioweapon or a bioengineering discovery that's got them very excited, where they can now transform humanity into actually being both male and female, androgynous. You
Yeah.
think that's
So,
and
yeah.
then there's a Dybbuk. What about the
You can
Dybbuk?
explain it. You explain it better than I
I don't know if
can.
that's what you. I mean, I'm
Uh,
just trying to understand it myself too, because you got to watch
I'm
your
still trying to
videos.
understand.
People
Yeah,
need to watch your videos, but you could put up some of your old videos too that you took down because the. But how did you discover this? Remember, I think it was Joe Dirt, right? Of all things, Joe effing
well, Joe,
Dirt.
that's with the meteorite, the black stone of Mecca. That's what I learned from Joe Dirt. That's actually a ball of dung.
Yeah. Okay. So I never saw that movie still, but so a ball of dung came down from where? From outer space, right? The other
Yeah.
realm, the abyss.
Well, it's the black stone of Mecca, and they say it's a meteorite. But in the movie Joe Dirt, right? Joe Dirt also thought it was a meteorite, but he learns that it's a big old frozen chunk of shit. I mean, they think that's what they said in that movie,
Yeah.
and that's the big discovery because it's in that shit where they discovered the bacteria, which allows them to alter the human genome or to alter DNA. It's basically equivalent to a pair of molecular scissors, like that Jurassic Park video that I uploaded,
Yeah.
where they,
He just happens to have scissors
yeah, he
in
has
his pocket
scissors, and he's
as
just,
he's
and
walking
they,
by a pile of shit, right?
That is one big pile.
CRISPR. A pair of scissors that can cut DNA. You might be interested to know that the CRISPR technology came about through a basic research project that was aimed at discovering how bacteria fight viral infections.
so there's just tons of that, those small like subliminal stuff like that.
Yeah. Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic Park is all about this.
Yeah,
And it's not
for
really
sure is.
dinosaurs. It's and even in the new versions, they have the
Well,
latest movie. They had it's all about human bioengineering. They had clones
yeah.
in that movie.
So the dinosaurs all transcend into birds. So I think all the dinosaurs is just representing probably angels, or it just represents
Definitely,
a different time long ago.
yeah. That's the pre-flood world. The Nephilim,
Yeah.
Genesis 6. Yeah. Okay. So the Bigfoot thing. They're genetically altering people. But yeah, I mean, it's quite possible these celebrities are there's something non-human about them. I think and what about the Dybbuk? You started talking about the Dybbuk a while ago,
Well,
and
whatever it is, that code that they found in bacteria, those what they refer to as bits and pieces of viral DNA, that is the Dybbuk. Like that's the Dybbuk in RNA form or spike protein form. That's the way I see it. Like they're one and the same.
they can inject a Dybbuk into people. Is that what you're saying?
Well, how I see it as, it's sort of like an RNA strand, but it's almost like it enables them to channel.
Ah,
Like it opens
okay.
them up as a channeler.
Yeah, that
That's
makes sense. And a
so
Dybbuk
like
is a demon, by the way, for people out there. A Dybbuk is what is it like it's a Jewish thing, right? It's a Jewish version of a
it's a
demon.
disembodied soul of a dead person that's attached to a living person.
Okay. And we see this, how do we see this symbolized in the media?
A zombie, a legless zombie, like in The Walking Dead.
And how do they attach to someone else in the media? They're
What do
being
you mean?
carried by someone, right? We
Oh,
see
yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
like a piggyback.
Yeah, like Andy walking around with Chucky on his back.
So Chucky's the Dybbuk,
Yeah, so
Andy's
that's
the human
that
host.
type of.
They're also the man in the wheelchair, then would also be a Dybbuk.
Yeah, but
So
it's like I don't know how to explain that. I don't.
Ivor the Boneless. You ever see Vikings? Ivor the Boneless. He's can't walk. The crippled person in the movie represents the Dybbuk, and they believe they're gods. Mastermind, you know that the Thunderdome, the Master Blaster, the Master Blaster. There's got the little midget guy on top, and then the strong guy who's really dumb. That's the human. the physical, so the demon, the disembodied spirit needs to attach itself to a body, basically. And the X-Men, you got the guy in the wheelchair. I think his name is Xavier or something like that.
Xavier.
Xavier. Yeah. Xavier. He's X-Savior.
X. Professor X.
And he's creating superheroes like in The Boys as well, right? Generation V are like the offspring, right? And then one of them was a shape-shifting, changing from male to female. But The Boys, so like you did some videos on The Boys, and that's a very interesting show because it's all about the pharma industry creating superheroes, and a superhero is just an androgyne, basically. Like they're telling us the truth in these so-called fictional stories, and they're lying to us in the news, right? So
yeah, I wish I could explain it better.
No, you can. Your videos are great. You explain it very well.
I need to get better at explaining stuff.
Simplify it.
It's because I don't ever talk about this stuff. So
who can you talk to about it?
I know that's just